Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open law meeting law, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Task Force will be conducted by remote participation to the greatest extent possible. All meetings and hearings listed in the agenda will also be done so through remote participation. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with a right and/or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town's website at www.shrewsburymad.gov/coronavirus. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite the best efforts, we'll post on the town's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive recording of proceeding as soon as possible after the meeting. To listen to this meeting, dial 1-929-287-3884 and enter the following PIN, 510-122-6001#. Please mute your device. Okay. As a preliminary matter, this is Adiola and Baname, co-chair. Please permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Ruth Febo.
Here.
Juan Acosta.
Here.
Noor Ali is present.
I'm here.
Thank you, Noor. Jean Budenhagen.
Here.
Beth Casavant.
Present.
Thank you. Paula Collins.
Here.
Deb Delgado. Maura Egan.
Here.
Jenny Fishman. Jenny Fishman.
Present.
Luis Garon.
I'm here.
Lindsay Heffernan. No. Elizabeth Hilton. Donna Jarrell. Alan Jarrell.
Present.
Kelly Joseph. Kelly. No. Ruth. Joyce Carr. Hi, Ruth. Malind Kantikar.
Present.
Zoya Mida.
Present.
Richard Pertucci.
Present.
Priya Ratnam.
Here.
Leonora Ryan.
Present.
Janine Sands. Navjeet Singh. Oh yeah, no, Navjeet. No, Janine. Rajesh Belagabudi. Helene Nguyen.
Here.
Thanks, Helen. Any members that I did not call, or if you missed your name?
I think I missed my name, Elizabeth Hilton.
Hi, Elizabeth. Yep, I got you now.
And I missed my name also, Deb Delgado.
Hi, Deb. Yep, thank you.
And I just got a message from Janine. She's having, she was logging on, but she's trying.
Okay, perfect. So Janine is joining us.
She will be.
Awesome. And also we would like to introduce a very special guest from the Board of Selectmen, Mr. John LeBeau. Welcome, John. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. Looking forward to the meeting.
Thank you. And I just realized I have to do the introduction speech, so bear with me. Did I say this already, or did I not say this?
Yeah, you did.
I think you're all set.
Yep, you're all set.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So we'll go to the first meeting, the first item on the agenda, which is to approve the minutes for the second item on the agenda for April 12th, 2021. So all those in favor of
I move
approving?
to approve.
I
Okay.
said,
Thank you. And that was Deb Delgado that seconded the approval?
Yep.
Okay, awesome.
yes.
Perfect. So the next item we have on the agenda is an update on the meeting with Northborough DEI representative with Ruth, who was kind enough to meet with them. So you want to give an update on that? You're on mute, Ruth. I think we're having some trouble
Sorry
hearing
about
you.
that. Thank you. So I did meet with a rep from the DEI. The person I met with is actually on the board of selectmen. I met on 4/22. Basically, I wanted to talk mostly about the survey, but they did give me a little bit of background on how the task force formed. And I think like a lot of task force last year, after the murder of George Floyd, the town decided to do a task force. They have a smaller group than we do. She was really astonished at the size of our group. They have 9 members, 8 are residents, and 1 person is a staff rep. They put out the survey to everybody in town, or as many people as they could reach. And I didn't look up, and she didn't say how many town members there are in Northborough, but they got about 700 responses, which was really high, I thought. It was pretty good. And so from that, she said about 20% of the people, she didn't have exact numbers or nothing in front of her. So she was guessing, I mean, pretty good guesses, I'm hoping, but 20% of the respondents gave their contact info. So the reason they wanted to, the primary reason they wanted to do the survey was to get a call out for stories, to get focus groups, that sort of thing. So 20% of the people that responded did give their contact info. And, you know, many of them they had some free text space. You know, they were just folks that wanted to help with DEI efforts or just having difficult conversations in general. Some of the comments that she got back, besides all the positive comments, and overwhelmingly they were positive, was statements like my conservative beliefs are not respected, things to that matter. So I forgot to mention, they put it out via like a town blast. The YMCA Boroughs director shared it using their email blast. The community advocate wrote about it. So they put it out that way. And one thing that did come out of it is that they are going to recommend to the BOS that they fund a consultant to do DEI work and possibly do another survey. They weren't sure if they were going to, but to possibly do another one if they were able to get money for DEI work in the future. So with that, I'll leave it open for questions. She was very interested in meeting with the least, Adiola and myself. She was, again, really surprised that our group is so big. So maybe that was a little too much, you know, meeting such a big group at the same time, but possibly we could either meet individual with our subcommittees or invite her to the bigger group, but we can discuss that if anybody has any suggestions. Louise.
Ruth, did you tell us her name?
Yeah, hold on, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I will. Let me find it in my email. Becca Meekins, BECCA, Meekins, MEEKINS.
And Ruth, I probably missed this. Did you say that they did collect open-ended demographic information? Or?
Yeah, she actually didn't share too much of the demographic information that they got from the survey. She did mention, though, that their task force, even though it's 9 people, she said it's pretty diverse. She didn't give me a breakdown, but she did mention that. I'm sure she'd be willing to give us more information if we had very specific questions.
Milind, did you have a comment?
Yeah, thank you. This is Milind. I just wanted to know, what was their context, or what were they trying to get out of, other than, getting the stories out, what was other context? And the second part of the question is, as part of the survey, did they collect the diversity information from the respondents as well? So, what kind of, demographics is responding to the survey,
Yes. So to answer your first question, she mentioned that they would put it out to get listening sessions and focus groups and to get a feel for the residents. I don't know what that meant. Other than that, she didn't specify anything else. And they did collect demographic information from the survey respondents, but she didn't share that information with me. She didn't seem to have it in front of her, and she was coming out of another meeting. We were kind of playing phone tag for a little while, but if this group is interested in getting more, more concrete information, we could definitely set something up. Roop.
Hi, this is Roop. So just very quickly, what was your biggest, was there anything striking about what you heard from their survey results? Like, is it going to propel them forward, or anything like that you could take away?
I think, like us, they would like to see this work continue and not be a one-time thing. Like I mentioned, they're going to do similar to what we are going to have our final recommendations for the board, closer to the end of the year. They're going to recommend that the board fund a consultant for DEI work and possibly do another survey as a follow-up.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Louise, saw your hand.
Yes, thank you. Did you drill on her at all about the purpose of the survey? I mean, you said, quote, they wanted to get a feel of the residents. I'm not a big fan of kicking things to consultants or kicking things to the next people in line to do work. What is the function? Why do you want a feel of the residents? Like we talked about this in tremendous detail at our last meeting. What is the purpose of the survey? Are you measuring the amount of diversity based upon the respondents' demographic profiles? Are you measuring the relationship between the demographic nature of a person and whether or not they feel, did they address that at all?
So she didn't elaborate on that, what that feel means or meant for them in the survey. I mean, I can follow up with her. I don't want to speak out of turn. I'm literally reading the notes that I wrote down. Okay. We only talked for maybe 15 minutes, and a lot of it was just repeating like the same information.
Okay, thank you. I won't hound on the issue.
Thanks. Roop, your hand is still up. Is that on purpose?
Oh, sorry, that's just a mistake.
That's okay. Paula?
So did we get to see the survey, what they were asking? I'm curious as to, you said they also were kicked off with the George Floyd incident, but I'm curious if they were focused on race or if they actually were looking at the full breadth of DEI, which is all the protected classes.
It sounds like they're looking more at race issues or, areas that they want to focus in that space. She didn't mention any other work in the DEI space that they were looking at. That's not to say that they won't in the future, right? Especially if they can commit some funds for future work. But it sounds like that's what kicked it off, and that was their lens moving forward. Maura, Paula, does that answer your question? Oh, wait, you asked if they're going to share it.
No, I was just curious if we saw what was actually on the survey.
No, they didn't share it. We just spoke, like I said, briefly on the phone. I can ask for that information.
I mean, you all know I think we should go forward anyway, but I'm and as has also been well documented, I think that if we don't include all those classes, I think we're missing the boat on DEI. I think to just talk about race is not what we should be about. But that's a conversation for further down the line here.
Thanks, Paula. Maura?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so I think it would be great if we could see their survey. And Ruth, you mentioned that she had talked about maybe meeting with us in some capacity. I think that would be helpful for both committees, just to kind of see, what is their end goal? What is our end goal? What is their end goal? In addition to, sounds like just getting but getting a DEI consultant. What else is their end goals? And maybe not everyone all together, but like you had said, maybe with a subcommittee or maybe one of their reps in each of our subcommittees or something, just so we kind of can maybe think about if we have a shared vision for, our communities that surround us too. I think that there might be power in that, but I just want to comment on that.
I love that, Maura. That's a really good point. I suggest that the Adiola and I meet with their whole group. It's only 9 people, as well as the chairs or co-chairs to the subcommittees on here. That will still be a pretty big group, but it won't be quite as large as this. So we can send out some we can email a few of you or the chairs to get some times on when would be good. They actually meet they meet twice a month on the first and third Thursday of the month at 7 p.m. So as long as all of us can agree on one of those times, we can set something up. So I will take that as an action item.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Yes, who's speaking? Oh, hi, Deb.
Are their meetings open to the public or are they closed meetings?
She didn't specify, but when I was looking for someone to contact, I did find links to their meetings. So as far as I can tell, it looks like they're open, but I'm not 100% certain.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Malin?
Yep. Just to extend Maura's point there is, I think we should reach out to the similar D&I efforts. I believe Westboro has also launched the similar committees or the program. And I think if our town, I think they are probably more closer to the demographics than Northborough, in my opinion, personal opinion. So I think we can find some similarities and, find some similar size, survey results if they are going that way, and try to find out, what their context is, what they are trying to get at, which might reflect on positively on us. Again, just a suggestion, but I think just to extend Maura's point is I think we should check it out, what other surrounding towns are doing.
Thanks, Malin. I can reach out to someone in the DEI area in Westboro. Just from that comment, maybe it would be a good idea for the chairs or co-chairs of the 3 boroughs to maybe get together, and then the subcommittee chairs for all of the boroughs to get together. That's going to take some planning, but I think it's definitely doable. If it doesn't happen, we can also put it in as a recommendation. I mean, regardless of whether it happens or not, to work with the boroughs, to work with our surrounding neighbors, in some capacity in this space. Thanks, Malin. So I think I saw Louise first and then Zoya.
I yield to Zoya because truthfully, her hand was up first.
Okay, thank you. Zoya.
This is Zoya. So have you made a decision that we are going to do a survey? Or
We have not. We're voting on that next.
Okay.
Thanks, Zoya.
I wonder why. I mean, I understand that we are close, perhaps ethnically and perhaps what would I call it, demographically, to Northborough and Westboro, but for purposes of the state functions like the regional healthcare system and the regional planning, we are more frequently grouped with Worcester than we are grouped with Westboro or Northborough.
That's true, but I would think that Worcester functions in a, I mean, Worcester's a city and we're a town, so they might function a lot as far as the work that they're doing, right? Definitely bigger than us. I mean, I'm open to any suggestions. We can discuss it as a group.
Maybe Beth can remind us, there's a regional healthcare authority and there's the Quinsigamond Water Project, and all of those include us with Worcester. Are there other regional authorities in which we are grouped with Worcester?
Are you talking about the Public Health Alliance, Louise?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so yes, we have Regional Public Health Alliance where Worcester is a member of that.
And if memory serves correct, Westboro is not.
Correct.
Because Westboro goes eastward in their health alliance. Are there any other regional alliances in which Shrewsbury participates that I've forgotten?
Well, I've got Selectman LeBeau on here also, so he can also jump in if I'm forgetting anything. You just want health alliances or ways that we work with other communities?
Other alliances within which there might be DEI issues.
I'm not thinking of anything off the top of my head, Louise.
Okay, that's reassuring.
But if I think of something while we're in this meeting, I'll bring it back.
Okay.
Thanks, Beth. Thanks, Louise. Does anybody else have a comment on that particular point that Louise brought up? Hey, Jenny.
Hi. So recently, the Central Mass Health Alliance has launched a new CHIP, which is Community Health Equity or Improvement Plan, and it's based around health equity. And I can share that with the chairs to disseminate to the rest of the group.
Thanks, Jenny. Zoya, did you have another question? No. All right. So I think I don't see anybody else's hand up. I think we can move on to the next agenda item. Okay.
Okay. So next agenda item is to finish the discussion on the survey. So we need to talk about where we left off the last time when we discussed about plans for actually distributing the survey. I know there was a lot of candid discussion on whether or not we should go through with submitting a survey to the town. There were logistical concerns that were brought up. There were concerns regarding the goal of the survey. What are we looking to achieve or accomplish with the survey? So we're going to open the floor right now to see whether or not we will go forward, and then we'll take a vote.
So my hope is that we can talk about this. I mean, we can spend as much time as we need, but we usually break around 8 p.m. for about a 5-minute break. So if we could have this discussion and maybe take a break and come back to a vote, that would be ideal. But I would understand if we need more time. So I will open it up. I'll start looking for hands, and I'll try to keep to the order of which they come up on. Paul, I see you.
So I think we should go ahead with the survey. I think what we're looking for is just to see if there are any trends in what people are reporting. It's just to see if there are issues and if there's any trends to where they are. I don't think it has to be super scientific. I don't think it has to have a whole lot of, it's just really sort of informational, and we're just trying to get trends. If we can get people as part of that to say they want to tell a deeper story, we can do that as well. There are definitely multiple ways to get it out in paper as well as electronic and through the various groups in town that have specific focuses. Certainly The special needs group is big. The India Society is big. I don't know. The senior center has its own population of all these different groups, and reaching them via the survey. If we wanted it to get more scientific or more specific, there are a number of college interns that are in public policy and data fields that would be, I'm sure, happy to analyze the data in a deeper way. But to me, the purpose of it is just to sort of see what direction we're moving as a task force, and where those, just like subcommittees are trying to find out what we think are the problems and what we think should be the recommendations of where to start. We need to do a broader call out, and I think the survey is an easy way to do it.
Thank you, Paula. Louise, I saw your hand up next.
Yeah.
Louise, you're on mute.
I went on from, there's a strategy in trying to think on a regional basis. And that strategy is to, if you really want to conduct a scientific survey and not rely solely upon the data that will be coming out September, October, November from the federal census, from the 2020 federal census, then I think the best opportunities to get funding from the state or an agency to do that survey would be to do it on a regional basis. Now, maybe you want to make a region of towns, but I think that any region that failed to include what would be the local city, Worcester, would probably not be a very convincing body politic. Of course, I'm way out of my depth there in terms of politics. That was my strategy in wanting to look toward a regional survey in which Worcester participated as well. So.
Thank you, Louise. Milind.
Thank you. I think in my opinion, it is still too early to go for a survey. I believe we should do more outreach regarding what we are doing as, these 30 folks. I understand, based on your outreach with Northborough, that, 700 responses is a big number, definitely. But considering Shrewsbury, like 37,000 residents, I think if you take that from perspective, I think 700 is a smaller number in my opinion, to use it as a benchmark to suggest any policy decisions. I think, in my opinion, Ruth, what different organizations you mentioned, like Senior Center or ISW and other organizations, we should partner with them now to get on an outreach program about, the D&I effort that county is doing or this committee is doing, and create more awareness so that people know what we are doing, and then roll out a survey so that at least we will get a pulse of the town as to what they are thinking.
Thank you, Milind. So I see Deb's hand up next, but before I continue, I just want to remind everybody that our charge as a task force was not to solve any issues. It was to give the board recommendations for areas where there might be gaps in the DEI space. So just, keeping that in the back of your minds when we take a vote later on this. Deb?
I'm going to be short. I think that we should be doing a survey, but I also think that we have to be realistic and have a survey that many participants in the town are going to take it. So we have to have something that is, in my teaching language, I say user-friendly. So it's something that, people feel comfortable with answering, and not too lengthy, but yet still getting the information that we want.
Thanks for that. See Jean's raising his hand. And and there was Jenny had her hand raised. But really quick, when Deb was talking, it just sparked a thought. So just to clarify, the vote will be whether or not our task force takes on the work of creating the survey, or we push the survey as a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen in our final recommendation list. So I just wanted to clarify that. So I think the survey is still kind of in play, but it's whether or not we do it as a task force, or if we recommend it in our final report. In addition to that, just a reminder, the Board of Selectmen is hoping to have a smaller DEI committee forward to continue this work. So I envision that if we did recommend this, it would probably go to that ongoing committee. But that's just a thought that I had. So then, Jean, you had your hand raised, so I'll pass it to you.
Just a quick thought. I think if you're going to do a survey, you've got to do the whole town. You cannot key in on certain groups. It's either all or nothing, because I don't think you're going to get a good cross section of replies, number one, and I don't think you're going to get the information you're looking for. So that's my opinion on it. You either go full vote and do it all, or you don't do it at all.
Thanks, Jane. I'm actually following the raising of the hands with the little function in Google Meet. And Melinda and Deb, your hands are still up. I think Roop was next. Thank you. It cleared you.
Hi, so I think, first of all, the plan was always, I believe, to contact everybody through a survey, not any targeted groups. If we do it, that is. I think more information is always better than less information. This is a novel endeavor anyway, whether it's done later on as a recommendation from us for the BOS to look into, or we do it as a task force. It might give us useful pointers or not. We don't know, but I think it's not a bad idea if it's sent out as a blast to the whole town. And, whatever we get out of it is what we get out of it. Like you said, we're not here, like you said, Ruth, we are here to make recommendations that might be a handy tool.
Thanks, Rup. Jenny.
So I guess one of my questions would be, in our charge, is it information gathering? Is that part of our charge?
I mean, I think we have to do that to give recommendations, right? So I think we've all been doing that very well. So if what you're pointing to is using the survey as data gathering, then
right.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't
Right.
want to risk us being super scientific around this, because I don't think it has to be perfect, but at least to get a measure of where our community is at. And yes, of course, Jean, I agree. Everybody would be offered the survey, but that is my thought. It's part of the information gathering process. I'm not trying to create more work for us, but I think it helps inform our recommendations.
Thanks, Jenny. Before I move on to the next person, Melinda just wrote in the comment section that, I lost it. I can't find the comment, but that a lot of people in town aren't aware of the work that we're doing. With that being said, they might become more aware once they hear about what the board is going to be doing with our recommendations. So that might be when we do the survey, right after, if the town decides to do that. So let's see who's next.
Nora had her hand raised, I believe. Nora.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to point out that a survey, I'm just elaborating on Ruth's question. A survey does not solve problems. It identifies them. And I think that as part of the task force, it's important for us to conduct the survey. We are certainly not going to be able to solve diversity, equity, inclusion issues, but we will be able to get information about it. So I totally support going forward with the survey. Yes, keeping it simplistic with this understanding that, of course, as part of our recommendations, if the recommendations end up being a consultant or another team, whatever, then yes, your next round of survey would be something that's more targeted, or focus groups that require a lot more work than a survey. But I think to just get a feel, a really broad stroke feel of more participants is going to be possible through conducting the survey. It is certainly not going to offer us solutions, but it will identify for us areas of concern. The Storyteller Subcommittee is looking for the nuance, is looking for lived experiences. But as we're all aware, when it comes to qualitative data, you have fewer participants with in-depth stories. In a town the size of Shrewsbury, you can't just have a few participants with in-depth stories. You also need to get kind of that broad overview.
Thank you, Noor. So Janine is next. Roop, your hand is still up. Is that on purpose? Okay. So
sorry about that.
Thank you. I think we should control the survey, and then as part of the blast, maybe do some fireside chats, making it more intimate. It does not have to be a larger group. And then that way people can call in anonymous for 15 minutes. So you're getting both types of data. Because I just think that it'll be, not everyone is going to want to fill out a survey, right? And we're seeing that, but maybe the fireside chats can be recorded and give us another data point.
Thanks, Janine. Rajesh? Hey, Rajesh, you're on mute. Still can't hear you. I'll come back to you if you could please figure out what's going on with your audio. I'll go to Louise.
Yeah, I just want to point out that a survey should indeed be very simple, as Deb has asserted. A survey should indeed be objective in the sense of you're just getting information, not qualitative in-depth stories. Therefore, a survey to be effective should limit as strictly as possible the number and quantity of open text responses, because if you do a blast and you get 15,000 open text responses, then we are suddenly standing there with egg on our face and no way to interpret those data. So we end up disregarding responses that people thought were meaningful to them, which is why it's hard to get a feel from an open, from a survey. So that's my 2 cents worth.
Thanks,
Rajesh,
Louise.
you're welcome.
Rajesh, are you all set now? All right, not yet. We'll try again after Maura.
Thank you. Yeah, so I guess to Noor and Melin's points, both I like them both, and I do think that if we do move forward with a survey from our committee, I think it would be important for us to spend a little time thinking about how are we going to create more awareness of our committee between now and October before we put out that survey, just so that people in the town know. I mean, I know that there's been some articles in the Community Advocate about the other towns, surrounding towns they have about their committees. And I know there's stuff out there, but it's like, should that be kind of like a two-pronged focus? Like, we're going to do some version of a survey at the same time, and while we're developing it, we will also do some version of, hey, this is what's happening right now in our town, this committee.
Thank you, Maura. Rajesh? No. All right, we'll try again. Zoya? Zoya, you're on mute.
the questionnaires in the survey should include questions from each of the subcommittee.
Yeah, so we had talked about that before. I think we'll have to revisit what the survey will look like once we vote on whether or not we're putting out the survey in the very near future or saving the survey as a recommendation for the town/DEI group in some capacity to do it later.
But if it didn't include the subcommittees, then you don't have a broad feel of what the subcommittees are trying to glean out of the questionnaire.
Right. And so when we had discussed doing the survey prior to us now going back and forth, it was questions from all of the subcommittees, but that might change depending on what type of survey we're putting out, right? If it's more demographic, I mean, I don't want to speak out of turn, but we'll have to figure that out when we vote on whether or not to do it now or later. Zoya, is that okay? Yeah. Thank you. Priya.
Hi, thank you, Ruth. I agree that a survey is important and getting feedback from all members of the community is valid for the work that we are trying to do. But I think it was mentioned at the last meeting by someone or the previous meeting that historically conducting surveys in our town they've not been really successful. We've done surveys, at the library. The Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services had done a survey, and they had been distributed through, again, the library, the senior center, and many other places that I know. But the responses were, a very small percentage of people responded to that. So I'm a little skeptical of, getting all the information that we want through surveys.
Thank you, Priya. Yeah, I think that was one of the comments that was made, is that the people who respond will make it a self-selecting group, right? I think the survey will either lean one way or another, and it won't be representative of, a broad spectrum of the town or the issues that are going on in the town. Thanks, Priya. So Zoya, I see your hand up. I don't know if that's on purpose. Paula, and then Jean, I'll go to you next.
Call from Albert Joseph.
Are you going to me or did you say Zoya? Sorry.
Paula.
Oh, so I put in the chat, but I just wanted to address whoever's phone's ringing. Can you just go to mute?
Yeah.
I just wanted to address the exposure piece. So we have a flyer that's been completed this week. We're waiting for Val's sign off and for it to be posted on the Shrewsbury page that will explain sort of what we're about as a task force and the call for stories, and that the email address that we currently have set up for people who want to write in. In addition, we are trying, and Ruth and Adiola, if you haven't seen your email, it's in there right now, to coordinate a day and time to do a spot on SMC, which will have a little background of why the task force was put in place, what the current subcommittees are, why those who will be on the little panel decided to be on the committee, why it was important to them. And then, again, the call out to stories, which will be, again, in email. There will be a way to leave a number if you want to give a call personally. And then what we're trying to do is make sure that that panel is diverse enough that we represent different groups of people, friends, families, neighbors, that were from different parts of town and different demographics, so that people will also reach out to us personally. I know in the past week I've had 2 people already reach out to me personally. That the article that was in the Advertiser, I know I'm going to get that wrong. That's it, right? The Advertiser has sparked some interest. and has had people come up to me anyway. I don't know about anybody else. So I think that, people are starting to hear about it. And as we do these other things, there'll be enough, there'll be more of that. By putting out a survey, that in itself will bring also some light. Whether people answer it or not, they'll still be like, wait, what? We have a diversity committee? I didn't even know that was happening. Or a task force? I didn't even know that was happening in our town. So I think it's really, we have such a diverse group here. If everyone's talking about it, the people are going to start to know. And to me, just any information that we can get going forward, and one is not exclusive of the other. We do a survey doesn't mean we don't also have a recommendation at the end to do a deeper dive or a specific segment. So I just wanted to speak to the exposure, because we've got some things coming up in the next probably 2 weeks that you're going to see that should answer that.
Thanks, Paula. Jean?
I just wanted to add one comment. If we're going to do a major survey, we better be putting some cost figures together, because we don't have a budget. So somebody's got to look into that in a little more detail to see what it's going to cost, because there's going to be some dollars involved.
Thanks, Jean. So I don't know if we lost Rajesh, if he's still on the line. I don't know if there's a comment before we move forward. Okay.
I think we lost him.
Okay. Thanks, Adila. Louise?
To Zoya's comment about a survey needs to incorporate questions from all of the subcommittees, I would suggest that if we do a survey, that the survey be written by, as was discussed on previous occasions, by a subgroup among us, and then who take the questions submitted by each subcommittee and reformat them, or try to format them in as simple a way as possible to be able to get some meaningful information. And then, of course, the subcommittees would be asked to approve the form of the questions. As to timing and cost, I think those are both important. Those are both significant issues, and particularly in light of the fact that Navjeet has been talking with Kevin Mizikar about expanding the demographics that are included on the town annual census. And so that wouldn't get a feel for the concerns that have been raised by each subcommittee. So my point is that the concerns raised by each subcommittee would be what should be targeted in any survey that we did. And at that, I'll yield to Richard, because I know he's got.
Rich.
Okay. Well, just my opinion. I think this is one thing where the size of the group is getting us a little bit. I think a survey, in essence, is good, but I keep hearing terms like data that we want, and then I hear 3 or 4 different things of what data we want is. So it could be, and then I heard some good, interesting things like what you were saying from Northborough. Is it just a third survey to get the word out? So I don't even know what form the questions would be at this point. You know what I'm saying? So would it be, have you felt that you were discriminated against in housing? Have you been discriminated against in employment? Or would it be, hey, we have this committee, would you be willing to share a story or your story with us? So I don't even know which way we're going. So some people obviously feel pretty strongly about it. My recommendation would be that those who do, go for it. But as a committee with this many people, I don't know if we're ever going to decide on what the questions are. And as far as cost, you say the cost would come in because, just from what we've learned, if we just did it online, is that really fair, right? So we can't just do it online. So we have to think of cost and then time. It's already May. And we're supposed to have a report in October. So to me, that's another thing to consider. By the time we get the questions formed, get them out there, it's not going to be, to me, it's not going to form any basis of any decisions. It's going to be, or not decisions, but recommendations. At that point, we may be scrambling to get use out of the survey.
Thanks, Rich. And you bring up a really great point. So I think we're going to have to decide if we decide to do a survey, or I guess maybe this might be a pre-question, a pre-vote. What type of survey are we putting out? Is it strictly to gather demographic info, which we should already have? Like, we shouldn't have to do a survey to do that. I don't think we should use a survey to get call for stories. I think that storytellers can do that in a different way. So keep that in mind as you cast your vote tonight. Rajesh, are you on? Can you
hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, finally. Thank you.
Welcome.
So I just want to reiterate my previous last time opinion that this survey can be the pulse at the current stage in the town, and as the DE&I efforts are never-ending efforts, so it's not a one-time thing. The survey should not be a one-time thing either. So it should be the baseline. So as Richard mentioned, I think we different subcommittees already drafted one or two questions associated to the survey, so we can go through those basic questions, and then we can analyze them and I'll recommend the actual deep dive survey by the town or consultant, whosoever comes in as a DE&I committee recommendation. So that way it keeps continuing, and then we also should should be proposing a annual, or at least every 2 years, a survey to check the sense where we started in 2021 and where we are now. So that a pulse check every certain period would give us a good sense. Are we increasing the survey numbers? Are we getting a diverse responses? And all those things give us indicators that how far we moved in this process. Thank you.
Thanks, Rajesh. So I see Milin's hand.
Yep, thank you. My earlier comment was it's too early, but if we are going forward, I think I agree with folks who are saying that the survey should be simple and really generic, and just human tendency is if it goes beyond one page, you kind of lose the interest. So I would suggest is simple questions like, have you heard about D&I efforts that town is doing? And this survey should be important to the participants, for them, for the residents. So we should ask which areas are important to you as a resident, so, and we can probably list all 9 subcommittees that we have as a checkbox, so that people can say, oh, for me the race question is important, for somebody else it could be public safety, for somebody else it could be healthcare. So we can have that simple questions so that we know how many people are interested in what kind of areas. It's a simple question, but it gives us an insight within the respondents how they feel. And then another question would be, are you willing to share your story? Yes, no, so that we know that how many people are looking to share their thoughts and their own experiences. And we can ask the question as an optional question, like, do you have any specific question for D&I that we should ponder upon or discuss? If we keep at that level, more generic but at the same time more relatable to the respondents, I think we'll get more responses based on the awareness that Paula or the storytelling group is trying to do. That will be my recommendation.
Thanks, Malin. So I actually want to comment on that. My concern with that last point you made about asking, do you have any questions for us, is I can imagine a slew of questions coming in, and then how do we tackle that? You know, and when do we tackle that? Do we push it off to the next group of DEI people, or do we try to address that now? So that's my only comment on that. I don't have any, oh, Louise.
And this is partially a joke. Malind, what size font are you planning to use on this one-page survey if you have multiple choice answers? So just a
Google form, just four questions, you know, sans serif 12.
Okay.
But thank you.
Thanks, Melinda. So I don't see any other questions. It's 7:58 on my computer. I think this is a good stopping point for us to pause, kind of digest what's been talked about. So why don't we come back at 8:05? Does that sound okay? Can I just get some nods? Yeah. So we'll come back in about 6 to 7 minutes, and we'll vote on whether or not we should do the survey now or push it off to later. We'll get better wording on that when we come back. All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right, it's about 8:06. Should we get started? I don't see many cameras on, but I'm hoping we're all here. Awesome, thank you. So before we take the vote, we do have to address a very important question that came up regarding budget, because that will be a big a deciding factor, right? So I guess my question to Beth is, if we do conduct a survey, is there any type of budget or anything to consider if we want to print copies, or if we don't have a budget, would it just be an online survey only?
So that is something that after we vote on, I think we can work through, depending on what direction we're going in. And then I would want to just try to understand, what the cost would be, and then see if we can find a way to put some funding toward it.
All right, so does anyone have any questions? Okay, Louise.
You're on mute, Louise.
This is really directed to those who are publicizing the work of the committee. Have we reached out to the local churches with an announcement? I know the India Center is aware of our existence, but the Catholic and Protestant churches in the town, has there been any outreach to them? Describing, even just a small announcement describing the work of the committee, and perhaps announcing that we would like their support of having parishioners participate in this survey. Just an idea.
Deb, do you have an answer for that?
Are you addressing me?
Yes, please. Sorry, Deb.
I'm very active in my church, the First Congregational Church, and we have not received anything to my knowledge. I don't know if that answers the question fully, but
so
it does. Thank you.
Thanks, Deb.
We don't have a survey, right? We don't have a survey, so no one's been contacted because we don't have a survey. So if
I don't think that's what Louise is asking. I think
is that what you're asking, Louise? For like,
No.
do they
No,
have
no,
they
no,
been
no.
contacted about what?
No, the committee, the task force.
just about the task force in general. So I haven't seen anything go out, except for the stuff that I see from the blast for the different groups that I'm in, right, from the town. The first one was for a call for DEI, for people to apply to be a part of the DEI task force. And then I go on, I have to actively go on to see what's going on in the town. So I don't think the town did anything like that.
Actually, I think this might be something that you and Adiola could look into. We could all provide names of, pastors and community, it's like social justice ministry, the heads, where just an email could be sent announcing the committee's existence. I'm sure Noor is in touch with the imam, the local imams. I think that, just like the government is using the black churches to get people to get vaccinated, why shouldn't we use all churches in the community to get people to participate in the work of this committee? And I know we don't have a survey, there's no survey out there, but I think that an announcement should come before the survey,
So an announcement was made. Beth, can you correct me if I'm wrong, that Shrewsbury does have a DEI task force? I mean, I know it's on the Shrewsbury page.
Yes. So the formation of the task force was announced through all the usual channels that the town would use to announce any sort of town information. So on our website, on our social media, outreach to the India Center. I think that was just, done word of mouth. And we don't typically do any outreach to churches.
for a typical town matter, that probably would not be appropriate. But for a matter that has to do with social justice and human rights, which is what diversity, equity, and inclusion is, it might be appropriate for the town to send out an announcement to the local churches.
Louise,
One thing
I
about
wonder
that,
if that's,
my concern is that we probably have people that also worship outside of Shrewsbury, either synagogues or, mosques. So I think if we only do churches, we're going to be excluding a population of our community. So I think we have to think about that broader.
I'm not saying only to churches. What I'm saying is use the local churches as a resource. Obviously, we can't reach out to every church where every community member might worship. But the local churches are here. They are made up largely of community members. So why should they not be a resource? Now I understand we have a principle of separation of church and state, but I don't see how that would violate the principle of separation of church and state in any way.
Paula and then Beth.
So I'm sorry, I'm missing something here. So the way that the word gets spread is all of us. We have a very diverse committee. If everyone talked to their own groups, they would know. If you're active in your church, take the initiative to go talk to people to find out, can you get it in the bulletin? If you go to the India Center and you talk to people at the India Center, that's how you got it going. I talk to people that I know in the LGBTQ community and that are in the disability community, and that's how they know, because I have a big mouth and I've been telling them what I'm doing. That's what being on a task force is. That's what being on a committee is. I don't know who we think is going to do this mysterious outreach. That's what we're supposed to be doing. I'm sorry if that's insulting or whatever, but I'm frustrated right now.
Oh, Paula, it's not at all insulting, but there's a difference between the one-on-one communication that we do with members of our close circles and an announcement. I
don't know why it has to be a formal announcement, Louise. I guess that's not what I'm not understanding. If there's why does it need to be formal? If you want it, we could absolutely get it into if I was an active member of my church, I would be like, hey, can we just get this in the bulletin? I would write something up or ask Adiola and Ruth what they want it to look like for a little blurb. Maybe we need to come up with an elevator pitch. I'm happy to do that for this group. I do it all the time for people of what's a 2-second thing when somebody asks you, hey, what's the task force? So that you can just blit it out and you can post it wherever you want. You put it on your social media page, you put it wherever, but come on, we're going in circles. This is so frustrating.
So can I just ask, Louise, is this in regards to the survey?
Well, I was thinking about low survey participation during the break. And I thought, well, what are the things that people pay attention to? And people who go to church do tend to pay attention to what their pastors and ministers and imams and rabbis suggest.
Okay, thank you. Beth, you have your hand up or no?
Paula covered it.
Okay, thank you. Roop, and then I think we're done after Roop, and we're going to take a vote on the survey. You're on mute.
Sorry, just to extend Paula's point, number one, we're doing the SMC, piece, which goes out to a lot of people. There was an article shared about the group that a lot of people see. Maybe it can be reshared. So our group is also working on a call to participation flyer. This will be on the town website and on the Facebook page of the town. We have written an about the project sort of write-up, which connects to a form that people can fill out for stories, of course. So, and we were thinking when we put out the call to stories, which is very soon, in the near future, we were absolutely planning of contacting, all kinds of groups that we can. But I think everything leads on to the other and we build up of each other. That's the only way we can do it. I mean, what's the point of sending out an email telling people that there's a task force when we are not asking them to do anything? So I think it'll build off of each other, all the things, all the pieces that I mentioned. Thanks.
Thank you, Ruth. All right, so we still have one more agenda item to get to, so besides the vote. So I'd like to start with the vote. Adiola is going to read the vote question, and then she's going to do roll call, and you will either answer, Adiola can give instruction. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks, Ruth. So we're going to get started, and it's going to be a vote in the aye or nay form, yay or nay form. And how we'll do this, I'll read the vote, and you'll vote either yay or nay to the response. So listen and make sure you understand the question. If you would like the survey to be conducted and distributed by the task force, your response should be yay. If you would like the survey to be included as part of the final recommendation report that we will distribute to the Board of Selectmen in October, you will say nay. Is that clear? Let's get a head nod. Okay. Yay for task force, nay for final recommendation.
Wait,
And
I
I'll-
see two questions. Roop, I don't think your hand is up on purpose, but Beth, is yours up on
Is that
purpose?
okay?
No, I just had a question. So you're saying we're just voting whether or not we want to do a survey right now, correct?
Whether we want to do it now as part of this task force or put it in as a recommendation as part of our recommendations to the Board of Selectmen. We're going to recommend that they do a survey in the future if there's another task force formed in some capacity.
Okay, so basically, if we vote yes, it means this task force does the survey.
Yes.
If we
Correct.
vote no, it means it becomes part of the recommendation.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Do we need to reword it, Beth? We were struggling with how to word it.
I just felt like we were asking two different questions at
Yeah.
the same time. That's why I thought I should just make sure I understood it. I just thought we were wondering, is it yes or no? Like, are we doing a survey or aren't we doing a survey?
So yes, we're doing one now, or no, we're not doing one now, but we are going to put it in as a recommendation.
Thank you. That clarifies it. Thank you very much.
Thank
Yep.
you. All right.
So yay or nay when I call your name, and it's going to be by individual roll call. Everyone ready and clear on those instructions?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Helene Nguyen,
Yay.
and I'm going to kind of go slow so that the minute taker can gather some of this information as well. Next to vote is Rajesh Velagabudi.
Yay.
Navjeet is not here. Janine Sands.
Yay.
Leonora Ryan.
Yay.
Priya Ratnam.
Nay.
Nay for no, right, Priya?
No, yeah.
Richard Pertucci.
Aye, yay.
I guess it is I, right? Zoya Mehta.
Yay.
Milind Kanitkar.
No.
Roop Joitkar.
Yay.
Alan Jarrell.
No.
Donna Jarrell. Oh, sorry, Donna's not here. Elizabeth Hilton.
Yay.
Luis Garon.
Yay.
Jenny Fishman.
Yay.
Maura Egan.
Yay.
Deb Delgado.
Yay.
Paula Collins.
Yay.
Beth Cosavant.
Nay.
Jean Budenhagen.
Nay.
Noor Ali. Noor, did you answer?
She's not on.
Okay. Juan Acosta.
Nay.
Ruth Febo.
Nay.
And then last, Adiola Mbaname, and I vote nay, no. Just gonna really quickly tally this up. We have, I'm sorry?
Sorry.
We have 8 for nay, for no, and 11 for yay, yes. So we will go forward as a task force to conduct and distribute the survey, and we'll come out with another time to figure out the logistics of what that will look like in the future meeting. Okay, and keep in mind, we don't have a lot of time because the next agenda item you'll see is the schedule going forward until October. So Ruth, as I'm talking, you can kind of share your screen and pull that information up. So if we're going forward with this, we have to be very strategic in our planning and getting it formed, agreeing on the formation, getting it out there in all the ways that we're going to communicate this. And we have to do it in a very short period of time. And then also the analysis that will be included as part of the final recommendation. So take it away, Ruth, for our agenda item, which is decide for the timeline for the task force, the completion of the final report.
Okay, can someone verify that you can see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Ruth.
So what we have here is recommendations, but we really want input from everybody. But we have here some high level due dates. So today, May 3rd. And so this is the first, each Monday of the month.
Make it a little bigger.
So this is the first Monday of the week, or the Monday for each month here. So here is our large DI meeting. This is where we are now. So we voted for a survey. So keep that in mind as we move through this list. So Adiola and I have to submit a status report to the BOS for July. So we've already submitted one. We were supposed to do quarterly, but that didn't really quite happen. So our next one is going to fall on or around July 5th. So we were thinking that we would like everybody to have their final status report. So it's final because the next thing will be the final recommendations. So this is just anything you've worked on from the last report till June 14th, give or take. So then that way we can put it together and submit it to the BOS. So keep in mind, school recess will be coming up. So that's just there as a placeholder. This Monday is a holiday. So what we're asking here for September and October. So the final report with recommendations is due in October. I don't think there's a date. So we're just using the whole month here. So what we've come up with a proposal is for a draft recommendation due from all of the subcommittees on September 13th. And Adiola and I will draft the final document. So that's not to say that we're changing anything. That's just to say if any of you looked at the last report, the status report, the update, we made it pretty and gave a summary of the work we're doing. And then basically we attached the reports that you guys had provided. So that's mid-September. We would draft the final report, email it to you all the first week in October, meet the second week in October to vote, or I don't know if it has to be an official vote, but that's nomenclature there, on whether the final report or not is acceptable and ready to submit to the BOS. And if there are any changes to make, we give ourselves 2 weeks so that we can submit to the report in October. So I will pause there. Does anybody have anything high level to add before we get into details? Okay, does anybody have, I'm not on here, so, okay, Louise, I see you. So, excuse me, Louise, before you speak, Adiola, if you could call out whoever is raising their hand so that I can stay on the screen.
Yep.
Thank you. Go ahead, Louise,
Go
thanks.
ahead, Louise.
Okay, so is it implicit that survey results will be included in the final report?
I don't know. I think that if people submit a survey or participate in a survey, they want to see, right, what came out of that. So I don't know if it will be in the final report. Maybe that would be nice, or if we can publish it to some page on the town site. Or if we're going to be using those results for recommendations, right? So, I mean, that's something that we need to talk about.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Right. So as we're looking at this, we realize that there's not much time, right? So I do see Leonora and Paula have raised their hands. Leonora and then Paula.
Could you make sure that this timeline is included in the minutes?
Yeah, so we will send this to everybody, not just in the minutes.
You can send it to me and I'll include it in the minutes.
Please, yeah, sure, I can do that. And then I will email everybody either after this meeting or tomorrow with this Excel file, and you can all keep it and add notes to it as needed.
So the only thing I was going to add is it may be helpful to get from the from Beth or John if they already know the actual July dates and October dates for the selectmen meetings, so you can plug in the real dates and then you know what you have to work from. Because
Let me look right now and I'll put them in the chat.
Thanks.
Yeah, that way.
Thanks,
that
Paula.
way, you're not using up. You know, if you're relying on that whole month of October and you only have a week, then that's going to back up everything we have to do. So I want to make sure you guys have time to compile it.
Yeah, thanks. So I don't know if it's truth that it has to coincide with the board meeting.
So if I can just jump in, Ruth, it doesn't have to coincide with the board meeting. I mean, this task force had its first meeting on October 19th of 2020. And it just, in the charge, it just says, you know, within 12 months, we'll have the final report completed. I mean, I'm not going to split hairs if it's not exactly on October 19th. So let me just take a look and see when those board meetings are, and then we can have a date that we can shoot for. Because my expectation would be that the Board of Selectmen would receive the report and then likely want to invite the chairs back in to discuss at a Board of Selectmen's meeting. So that could end up being November, depending on what's on agendas. But let me just take a look and I'll put it in the chat.
Thank you. All right, well, Beth is looking at that. Is there anyone else with questions, comments, suggestions? So this was something we, you know, Adiola and I sat and came up with this, but we're open to suggestions. We realize, you know, summer months, kids' school, COVID is still a real thing. So we expect things to slow down for most people in August, maybe even July. Adiola, is there anyone with their hand up?
Yeah, so Richard just raised his hand.
Thank you.
Just might be semantics, but on the June 14th, you said final status report? Is that?
Yeah, it's the last status report. So this would be the second one or second status report. So we've already submitted one. It's on the drive if anybody wants to look at it. So this would be the second status report. And then the final report with recommendations would be our last final report.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, semantics, I think.
Yeah, no problem.
We have another chance to update. And then, so according to this, July, we wouldn't have a full DEI meeting?
I mean, unless we had to. So, I mean, keep in mind that these are here placeholders, but I mean, we have had meetings that have stemmed from subcommittees bringing up different topics that needed to be, discussed. So that's not, this schedule is not to say that we can't throw a meeting on here.
Okay, yep. All right, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And Beth had her hand up.
So I did put it in the chat. So the October meetings are the 12th and the 26th. And just if you're ever trying to figure it out, the selectmen meet the 2nd and the 4th Tuesday of every month.
2nd and 4th Tuesdays every month. Okay.
Yep.
And as I'm looking at this timeline here, I'm just thinking about the survey. I feel, oh, Deb, this is timely that you wanted to volunteer that, providing that in the chat. I feel like we should establish a subgroup who will form this survey and get it out to us rather quickly, maybe a week or 2 week turnaround, and we come back, have another meeting just to look over those questions, approve them, and have them sent out right away. I don't think we should wait because we are at a crunch here. So why don't we get that? I know the storytellers, you're kind of doing your own call to action, awareness for the DEI. I don't know if you want to be involved with that as well, but I think we should form a subcommittee here, or not a subcommittee, but a group that will take charge into kind of developing and forming the survey.
That's a really great point, Adiola. Is there anybody that would like to volunteer before we randomly start choosing people? Just kidding.
Maura, Jenny had their hands. Deb, Louise, are these hands to volunteer or comments of volunteer hands? Paula. Okay.
So I see Jenny, Louise, Maura, Deb, and Paula.
Okay, mine is first a comment hand, and I'd like to propose a ground rule that the survey questions be based on your first report to the Board of Selectmen, which, to the best of my knowledge, includes what every subcommittee thought were the issues.
Can you say that again? So you want the survey to include what from the reports?
Yes, yes. We're getting volunteers. Go ahead, Alan.
Isn't that what you said, Louise? The first update that was submitted, you wanted to use that as a guide?
I want the survey to, yes, that is correct. I want the survey to be based on information submitted by the subcommittees in the first update. We've already said that's a fairly comprehensive document.
So, but what about the questions we talked about last meeting? We're going to use those, right? I mean, everybody, each committee gave a few questions. That's our baseline, no?
Hold on. So I think we need to decide what type of survey we are going to have. So Malind had a very good suggestion. I would like to move forward in that direction where it's, I agree with you, Malind, 100%. And I think most of us here will agree. People are going to get bored, sidetracked, busy. They're not going to respond to a survey that's extremely long. So I think we need to decide how many questions, right? So if that's 4 or 5 questions, that's not even one question per subgroup, right? So we need to really come up with high level, I really think we should stay away from open-ended questions, but maybe have one. But just remember that that's a lot of data mining, quote unquote. It's probably not going to be data. So I mean, I don't think we have to vote on this, but we can have a discussion on how to move forward so we can throw this on the timeline.
Yep, Jenny and Beth had their hands raised for a question or comment.
Yep, so I would agree, like 4 or 5 quick questions for folks just to get a pulse on sort of what the community feels. And I think it can be pretty general and high level, but just, how, do you feel like things are equitable in the community? How do you experience, and make them yes and no. And then if they want to share more, have an open-ended thing. Say, if you want to share more about your experience, contact XYZ.
So my only concern with that, so I think that's a really good idea, Jenny. I really do. My only concern with that is I don't want to give people the impression that we're going to have solutions for the issues that they bring up. So maybe that's just putting a disclaimer in there, and kind of our intent for now and then our intent for later, right? As far as recommendations go. So that's it. That's what I wanted to share. So I know Deb, you have your hand up. Jenny, I'm sorry, were you done?
Yes, I think my dog decided I was done.
Okay, thanks.
Beth had her hand up. And
and Jenny's dog riled my dog, so I had to quickly put in earbuds. They were like on fire. Where's the dog?
Sorry.
So I just wanted to kind of sort of agree with what Melinda's saying, that it needs to be, I think, a short survey. And I just want to put in a word of caution on any open-ended questions that we maybe limit the number of words that people can use. Number one, we only have so much time. And as much as being able to read all of these and process the information that's given to us, we also want to be careful that we're not providing a platform for people to say things that maybe are racist or derogatory in some way, because anything that comes to us on this survey is part of the public record. And not that we want to discourage people from sharing, their true beliefs and thoughts and feelings, but I think we may be surprised to find that some of those things are very unsettling.
Thank you, Beth. Yeah, so I think if people want to say more, express more, they can reach out to the storytellers, and maybe they can tap into some of the work that they'll be doing in gathering stories. So I see Louise's hand and then Malind.
I just want to say that I agree with everything that's been said, except having the opportunity for any open response to be captured in the survey, except a directive that if there is something you want to talk about, contact so-and-so. I completely endorse Melind's idea to keep it short and sweet, and if he is willing to work on that, I wholly endorse him as a survey question writer.
Thank you, Louise. Malind?
Yeah, that's the reason I raised my hand. I already said it on chat, and I'm happy to help in formulating the survey, but I know enough hands went up already, so I don't want to do overcrowding, but happy to help. That's why I'm here. So if you really need it, I'm there.
Yep, so I think right now the folks who are interested, who I wrote down, Jenny, Deb, Paula, Maura, and then I have you, Malind. Louise, were you on that list?
Nope.
Okay, so Jenny, Deb, Paula, Maura, and Malind.
So I think that's a really good size group.
Yep.
Beth, do we have to, so that wouldn't be a quorum, do they have to have agenda and whatnot? Should I reach out to Val?
I think this is a subcommittee like any other subcommittee, and I would recommend that we vote to form the subcommittee, and that this subcommittee will then be handled the same way as all of our other subcommittees.
Okay, thank you, Beth. So we have to vote to form the subcommittee, but we can't do that today.
Well, it's not on our agenda to form a subcommittee.
Correct.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So
I'm wondering if we'll have to do another meeting.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't have any meetings.
Can they start to work?
No, they can't start to work until there's a formal subcommittee.
So can we have a quick 30-minute meeting either early next week or the end of next? We need to give Val 3 days. So early next week. Is this time good? 30 minutes to cast a vote to form a subcommittee. How many people do we need? Half?
Correct. So
Okay.
honestly, I mean, we can kind of get a sense if people are available.
Right. That's where I was going with that. Thank you. So
You could also have Valerie put the meeting invite out, and then that will tell you when people respond to it, whether or not we're going to have a quorum. Because honestly, it's just a vote. We don't need to have everybody here if everybody can't
Right.
make it.
Right.
And I don't even think we'll need 30 minutes.
Right. Right.
So the earliest you could do it comfortably, like, because you need the 3 days, would be Monday the 10th.
Monday the 10th. So if we did a quick meeting Monday and at least half of us showed up, it could even be from your phone, right?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could just do it on your phone. No problem.
Yeah. So how does next Monday, the 10th, sound? Oh, I know that another subcommittee has a meeting at that time at 7. Yeah. How does 6 o'clock sound? I cannot
You
make
can even
it
do
at 6 o'clock.
6:30. They'll be done.
Yeah.
6:30 would be fine. We'll be done
So
by
s-
6:45.
Yeah. Can about half of you make it on next Monday around 6:30? Yes.
I can.
Yes. Yes. Okay. It looks like at least half of us. All right. So Louise, can you capture that? Monday, 6:30.
Yep.
We'll vote. That will be our only agenda item. And then you guys can set up your first meeting. It will have to be at least 3 days away. We have to give Val at least 3 days. And you have to provide the meeting and date and time and agenda.
A
Okay.
question, did I capture the right participants? Deb, Paula, Maura, Melinda, and Jenny. Did I miss anybody?
No.
On the subcommittee, on the survey subcommittee?
I don't think so. So do we want to throw some timelines in for the survey? Not for the subcommittee, but for the survey. When do we want to put out the survey?
Can I propose that once the subcommittee is formed, that we put together a timeline for the chairs of the larger committee?
Sure. Thank you, Jenny. Okay. So I don't have anything further, Adiola.
Nope, nothing else from me.
Does anyone else have anything? Great. This was a great meeting. We have a little bit of time to give back to you. Yeah, I'll see you guys all Monday. Some of you sooner.
We have to vote to adjourn the meeting.
Oh, that's right.
Can I, what do I say? Motion to adjourn.
I'll motion.
And I'll second. I'll second it.
So Jenny first, Maura second. Jenny first, Maura second.
Yep.
Right.
Great.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you, everybody.
All right.
Take
All right.
care.
Thank you. Bye.